Greetings, my name is Dominique Harbour, and I am an Educational Specialist Candidate for Instructional Technology here at KSU. I currently am an ETS, an Educational Technology Specialist, for Atlanta Public Schools, in which I serve elementary schools. I have a background in primary education. The title of my applied field research project is A Flipped Classroom Case Study, the journey of an inner-city elementary school teacher and her flipped 5th grade math class. I personally have always been interested in the flipped classroom, but never had the chance to implement it myself or to see it in action in the schools I serve, which are Title I schools. So I decided to do a study that would allow me to see how to implement it in such an environment. The flipped classroom has recently become a popular trend in education, and educators are catching on to it in hope of procuring its benefits. Despite the advantages of the model, some educators are still hesitant to adopt the model, particularly those in inner-city schools. Limited research on this topic leaves much room to determine the process and effectiveness of a flipped classroom model in inner-city classrooms. The purpose of this study is to explore the journey of a teacher that implements the flipped classroom model in a low SES 5th grade math class. This study will attempt to provide insight for educators who teach in a similar environment and wish to gain knowledge about the implementation of a flipped classroom. It will attempt to afford educators and other stakeholders interested in creating a flipped classroom model with the planning, materials needed, timeline, outcomes, successes, and barriers involved in doing so. The 3 research questions I posed are: what process does one 5th grade math teacher follow to implement the flipped classroom model in a lower SES school? What challenges does one 5th grade math teacher face in implementing the flipped classroom model in a lower SES school? And what instructional tools and alternative methods does one 5th grade math teacher use to implement the flipped classroom model in a lower SES environment where students have limited access to technology outside of school? While the use of flipped classrooms are becoming more popular in elementary schools, there is limited research that shows the flipped classroom model can be achieved in an elementary setting, particularly one with a low SES background that may lend limited access to technology outside of school. This study is needed to not only add to the limited field of research, but to also give educators a closer look into the experience of an educator implementing the flipped classroom in an environment such as this one. Educators who may be reluctant to implement the flipped classroom for various reasons can use the information from this study to address concerns and devise strategies for effectively flipping the classroom. Prior to this study, I did a literature review of all the research on flipped classrooms. While there wasn't much, I took what I could find and made it relevant to my particular study. The history of the flipped classroom was sparked in 2007 by 2 Colorado high school science teachers, Jonathan Bergman and Aaron Sams. In response to challenges presented by the traditional classroom, the 2 decided to record themselves lecturing on content and send the videos home with students. Class time was then reserved to practice content covered while providing close supervision and assistance. So what exactly is the flipped classroom? According to Hawkes, the flipped classroom is a pedagogical model that employs synchronous video lectures, reading assignments, practice problems, and other digital technology-based resources outside the classroom, and interactive group-based problem-solving activities in the classroom. In conducting my research, I found there were many advantages for the flipped classroom. These include increased student achievement, self-paced learning, more authentic learning experiences that engage students deeper during class time, opportunities for real-time feedback, customizable curriculum, parent accessibility to content and coursework, reduction of teacher stress, increased teacher-student interaction, and increased student interest. In regards to challenges, the biggest challenge I found was the limited home access for students who did not have technology at home. The flipped classroom is the one that is creating a huge amount of buzz in the academic arena. The model has a good share of advocates that claim it to be beneficial in many ways. However, the issue of a lack of research in the field, as well as the issue of access for students, may cause some teachers to be reluctant in adopting the model. This study seeks to address these 2 issues around the flipped classroom by reporting the journey of a 5th grade math teacher and her implementation of the model in a low SES environment, where many students may not have access to technology outside of the classroom. For my study, I used a narrative case study. I followed a 5th grade math teacher at an inner city elementary school. My forms of data collection were participant journal, in which I had her to journal at least once a week or more, interviews pre and post, observations, and conversations. Our participant was Miss Bryant, who was a 5th grade math and reading teacher. She had a class of 27 students, 4 of which were IEP, 6 EIP, and 1 ESOL. She was the grade level chairperson. She had 9 years of experience. She considers herself a technology leader within her school, and after assessing her for her Lodi level, I graded her a level of 3, which is infusion. This study took the course over about 6 weeks, in which there was a pre-planning period, the implementation for about 4 weeks, a whole math unit, and then a post-implementation period. Overview of my data analysis. In regards to the process of the flipped classroom, it was challenging yet rewarding. It required extensive planning. There were circumstances beyond control that affected the implementation. Research performed prior to implementation can be very beneficial, and flexibility is important. In regards to the research, my data supports the current research on flipped classrooms. Benefits included self-paced learning and increased student engagement and achievement in this study. Class time allowed for a meaningful learning experience with the support of the teacher, and the most common challenge in this case was limited access. Questions and concerns as a result of this study. The availability of ready-made instructional content was a concern. Also, the challenges that occur in trying to create your own instructional content, and the challenges that occur in trying to differentiate instructional content. My findings in regards to my 3 research questions. The first question, what process does one 5th grade math teacher follow to implement the flipped classroom model in a lower SES school? First, you need to decide on a platform to use with students. Then, identify and outline standards to be covered. Create a timeline and a schedule for your unit of study. Locate and create resources for your instructional content. Introduce the model to students and parents in case they are not familiar with it. Determine your recurring planning times, which may be yearly, semester, quarter, monthly, bi-weekly, or even weekly. And plan your homework and in-class activities. And post to the platform based on your chosen schedule. Question 2. What challenges does one 5th grade math teacher face in implementing the flipped classroom model in a lower SES school? The biggest challenge was limited student access. Second was getting 100% student homework participation. And the third was support from colleagues. Third question, what instructional tools and methods does one 5th grade math teacher use to implement the flipped classroom model with students who have limited technology access at home? First, provide computer access before and after school, as well as during lunch, for those students who may not be able to access technology at home. The instructional tools used during this study were Edmodo, LearnZillion, Khan Academy, YouTube, TeacherTube, and Power My Learning. The personal challenges I experienced in conducting this case study were the lack of time to observe as often as I desired, getting the participant to provide journal entries as often as requested, which was quite difficult for her. I did get them weekly, but I kind of wanted to get them more often if possible, but due to her schedule, she was not able to do so. Time management for writing up the data collection segment. Since I chose to do a narrative case study, I had lots and lots of notes that I had to compile, and so that was very time consuming. And the last challenge was interruption in the implementation of the model. The teacher didn't get to implement it every day that she wanted to due to schedule interruptions, things beyond her control. Recommendations for future research. I think that school culture and background in the building should be addressed. A case study on the experience of students in the flipped classroom would be a great topic. Also, perhaps conducting a case study on a teacher who creates their own instructional videos. In this particular study, my participant used instructional videos that were already created. And so I want to see if there may be a difference between a teacher who uses pre-made content or a teacher who uses their own content, who creates their own instructional videos. Using a larger sample to compare the process of implementation for different teachers, and just in general, more research on this topic. When I did my lit review, it was very hard to find research on the flipped classroom, particularly elementary classrooms and in this type of environment. So more research on this topic in general would be very beneficial. Overall, completing this capstone project gave me great experience in the process of conducting research, particularly qualitative research. Having identified the process and the challenges of the classroom, I definitely feel more confident and more knowledgeable to assist teachers in successfully using this model. I also feel more confident in conducting future research to add to the field of literature on this topic or other topics of my interest. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something from my case study.